Hi and welcome to Learn Music Theory ABRSM Grades 1 and 2. Hopefully that quiz went well for you, and in this video we're going to take a look at actually writing the music that we explained in the previous presentation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name my music piece and the composer. Then I'm going to press next, and I'm going to insert a blank staff. Do notice that this is not a particular instrument. It's simply the staff in which we can write music, but it doesn't belong to a violin or a flute or a piano. It's just a staff. And finally, here we come to the more interesting options. I'm going to select 8 measures, and you will understand why in a moment. I'm going to stick with C major. Remember, we can change it, but we're not going to change it in this course. And finally, the time signature, which we will explain soon, I'm just going to leave it at 4/4. And then here we have our piece of music. So the first thing I want to explain is what a measure is, because in the previous presentation we didn't explain this. So here we can see that I selected 8 measures. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, I do not want to convey that a measure is one of these black squares. The black square is simply inside the measure. So the measure is the space between any of these 2 bars. So here between these 2 bars we have 1 measure, between these 2 bars we have 1 measure. And also a measure is between the beginning here and the first bar. So here will be the first measure in all this space, not just the square, or the rectangle rather. This would be another measure, and then so on and so on. And notice how there's also a bar at the very end here. Notice how the end of the music piece has 2 bars, a thin one and a much thicker one. This is to signal that this is the end of the music piece. Let's go and select our first note here. This is the sort of note we have seen in the previous video, and we're going to create a C note. So you probably couldn't hear that, but now you should be able to. So this is a C. And notice how the C is on the one line that is underneath our 5 lines in our staff. So we draw an extra line, and in it we draw the C, or this round note. And then D is the very next note. E is the following note in the first line. F. G is on the second line. A is on the second space. B is on the third line, and finally C again. So this was C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C once again. So these are our 7 notes, and C is simply a repeat of the first note. Let's play it and see what it sounds like. Quite slow, isn't it? Well, these happen to be the slowest notes, or the notes that take the longest time to play. We can, however, write notes that are double as fast, so they are a lot quicker. For example, instead of this D, I'm going to write 2 Ds, but notice how the note is different. It is no longer a round note that is by itself. It is now a bit smaller round note that has a line that goes up. And I'm going to do the same for this G. And notice how now, because there isn't enough space on this line in the screen, the C moves down, and this bar is very long, but it's still just 1 bar. Okay, so there we have it. Can we write notes that are faster than this? Well, turns out we can write notes that are faster. Instead of this E on the 3rd bar, I'm going to write 4 E's. And these notes are fairly similar to these, but they again last half of what these last. So instead of one of these notes, we can put two of these. Instead of one of these, we can put two of these. Instead of one of these, we can put two of these. So therefore, instead of one of these, we can use four of them. Let's see how that sounds. So as you can see, it's getting a bit faster. Turns out that all of these notes have names, and we're going to go through what these names are in the very next video. In addition to that, we can also change these numbers here to 3/4 and 2/4, and I'm also going to explain what that corresponds to in the very next presentation. So stick with me and let's go into the next one.